to Game of the Max and part two of our Hearts of Iron 4 Pax Britannica as the United Commonwealth of America. So, in the last episode, we've been dealing with the bonus riots and the what is it, the age of automation or whatever, the riots that are occurring from the automation of the of like of jobs. So, um, yeah, with that, we are going to continue on down um, our diplomacy path that we're going through. My brain just kind of blanked there. And then someone did say to try to do, I believe it was research some of the augmented troops. So we will do some of those. We also need to do some more automechs. So yes, a lot to do. And we'll kick her off. We'll go down to 4 speed and continue on. So right now, with the bonus riots, we're doing okay. Where is it at? Imperial tension. No, right here. Everywhere is very stable. We can get some more political power for the cost of stability, but I don't really want to do that. Two more killings in Melbourne. Another two victims were discovered in Melbourne earlier today, making this the first double event in Melbourne torso killings. The victims, two local transits from East or Lower Sector, were discovered by two children on their way to school. The victims have been decapitated, their torsos stabbed multiple times and drained of blood. The only means by which they were identified was by their wartime identification tattoos, which indicated to the ramp that the men were also veterans. It's clear now that the killer is deliberately targeting vulnerable, disenfranchised veterans, typically those displaced by the bonus crisis. Leads continue to be scarce, and civil authorities are urging the public to remain calm until the situation is back under control. Police Commissioner Ness continues to involve himself heavily in the investigation, frustrated by the inability of the ramp to catch the killer once again. You've got to be kidding me. -2 manpower. Yeah, I realize it cussed. I just wasn't going to cuss for it. Jacobins, Patriotic Front, Liberals, Imperial Power, Reactionaries. What's y'all's government? Conservative like mine. Alright. Music redefined, dubbed synth classic. This new genre of music composed by German extraordinaire Richard Strauss has captivated both the British and German public with its rather odd but satisfying electrical tunes. Thousands regularly listen to Strauss's synth classic album Resonance. While older and more traditional individuals have a certain dislike of this reimagined and redefined genre of music, younger audiences simply can't get enough of it. Resonance has already set records and as currently is the most listened to album of the year in Germany. Cool beats, kids. Continue on. We're choosing Butler as an intermediary, and we're getting Smedley Butler back. We will crank it up to 5 just to get this rolling. Standardized field kits. Let's go into augments. So we got hard suits or razor maidens. Let's research some razor maidens. We are constructing some good civilian factories. We'll probably pop a couple more middle factories down now. Protest in Australia. The unrest in the once French-controlled colony of Australia has reached a boiling point. Continued abuse of human rights from German administrations have forced Australia French citizens to organize a mass march in protest. The organizers and those participating have produced a list of demands, notably include the removal of German-occupied city of Donegal, as well as the return of Novella Brick to Australia. The protesters have made it very clear that if these demands are not met, then they will continue their fight for Australia's independence from Germany. Freedom and Revolution. Chose Butler. We'll do the watered down solution, and then we'll do the gradual rollout. Here's the Republic of Australia. then here is the Commonwealth of Victoria. So precision that. Industry. Electrical. Terror weapons. Naval augments artillery. Do anti-tank. Automech. Let's do tripods. The Zhengzhi province has defeated the Islamic Republic of Tungenistan in war. Tungan forces surrender. Russian forces in Xinjiang celebrated a major victory today with the toppling of the Tungan government. Ma Hushan, head of the Tungan rebels, fled to the west and left his forces ultimately leaders in the wake of Russian advances. With Xinjiang firmly under Russian control, the intervention has now transitioned to rebuilding the region and beginning integration with Zeltsaroria. Though Tungan and regular forces continue to harass the Russian forces, for now, Russian military operations have proven successful. A heavy blow to the Islamists. Bonus brigaders raid stockpile. Bonus brigaders were able to successfully raid a police weapons stockpile early this morning, claiming a number of small arms before they were chased off. While it's not a major loss in terms of equipment, it becomes clear that the brigaders are attempting to arm themselves, presumably in an effort to overthrow the government or whatever misguided nonsense they're peddling now. There's 100 infantry equipment and 10 support equipment. The Irish autonomous province of the Netherlands defeated the Irish citizenry and restored order to the British Isles. Alright. Kind of hoping Michael Collins might have pushed it out. Curie dies, age 67. Following a lengthy battle with illness, radiological physicist Mary Salome Sklodowska Curie passed away at her home in Vienna yesterday morning. Curie was one of the most influential scientific minds in Europe, pioneering the development of numerous radiological and chemical processes. Curie is most certainly the first woman to be awarded the Edison Prize, and historically the only person to win the prize in 2 scientific fields. Curie remains controversial in death as well as life, as her accomplishments were immense. However, the Russian administration and Poland still refuses to acknowledge any of them. Her contributions will not be forgotten, unless it's by the Russians. Alright. Everything's stable right now. Let's do this one. Hopefully it's still considered stable when we get it done. No longer getting Union strikes. Perfect. Alright, potential breakthrough in Melbourne. Let us really quick do this. The investigation of Melbourne has had a breakthrough. Criminal profiles have identified that the killer as having a clear anti-veteran. Oh, my bad. I didn't realize we were still playing. Okay, so if you guys would like to read that, just pause the game real quick and you'll be able to, or pause the video, you'll be able to read that. Sorry about that. Please keep me at stable. International telescreenings. In the culmination of more than 3 years of development, the International Screen Research Commission in Bern conducted the first transnational telescreen broadcast without the needs for relay networks in history. Watchers across Europe turned in to watch a previously recorded film of the 1928 Olympic Games in Calais. Watchers with a radiographic device could even tune into associated frequencies to enjoy simulcast sounds. Rudimentary, the broadcast demonstrates the theoretical possibility of an international telescreen broadcast without the needs for bulky relay networks. Watching the footy just got easier. Let's see. Prussian Junkers take power. The fatherland front in Prussia has fallen. Large garrisons and former veterans have put their full support behind Prussia's political Junker elements. The Junkers promised the full restoration of King Frederick Henrik Albert and restoration of democracy in the country. However, other fatherland groups still remain loyal to Bühler. Terrorism has become rampant across Prussia. It will likely take years to get rid of his legacy. The Hydra falls. So now if we come over to Prussia, there is, yep, Frederick Heinrich Elbricht, and super unpopular. Okay. Interesting. The bonus brigaders launched mass protests. Supporters of the bonus brigades in Philadelphia launched a mass protest earlier today, attempting to push the political governments to support the bonus demands. The protests are drawing large numbers of American citizens, many of whom have felt disenfranchised by the automation crisis and the recent unrest. Mercifully, there was been little violence, but there remains the pressing issue of public sympathy for the bonus army forces. Game base stability negative 0.5. So we're just tanking stability. Everything is unstable, which makes everything more expensive for us. St. Petersburg attack. Panic gripped St. Petersburg today as terrorists assaulted the city, upending a parade and speech planned by Tsar Michael II. Russian authorities released information that both the Tsar and Prime Minister have been attacked, but refrained from giving further information on their condition. 2 bombs were detonated while the attack was ongoing, leaving nearly 70 people dead and over 100 injured. It has been confirmed that the explosives used were dirty Teleforce bombs created using material reported stolen from a Galatian peacekeeping patrol in September. What is going on over there? Santa Fe divided. Reports are coming in from North American nation of Santa Fe that both the Union Standard Oil Company and Desert Raider, once official subsection of the Santa Fe government, have broken off and formed their own independent nations. The main reason put down by both breakaway is continued neglect of local trucker populations, as well as increasingly more governmental control towards economic and social policies onto these once autonomous states. America remains disunited. So, I guess up over here. Interesting. The dust settles on the crisis. Many politicians and citizens believe that Coolidge did not do enough to address the concerns of the veterans, and that his lack of action led to the violent removal of veterans from their encampment in Philadelphia by the military. Some have even called for his resignation over the matter. Coolidge has defended his actions, stating that he had to uphold the law and maintain order in the city. However, the controversy surrounding the response to the crisis has only grown. Many are calling for further investigation and accountability. The bonus army crisis remains a stain on the Coolidge administration, and protests and unrest continue even after the end of the general crisis itself. We prevented a revolution, and this is the thanks we get. Plus 10% stability, negative 1 political power. Be danged if you do, be danged if you don't. Let us... see. Can you find the Bahamas? Can't do anything there. There. Puppet schism. And do anti-tank. Parliament passes a no confidence vote in a shocking turn event. The Parliament of the United Commonwealth has passed a no confidence vote, leading to the resignation of Prime Minister Coolidge in favor of his Deputy Minister Charles Even Hughes. The vote comes off the wake of the bonus brigade crisis, where Coolidge faced intense criticisms for his handling of the incident. Political analysts predicted that the process of selecting a new prime minister may take some time and could be a contentious one. In the meantime, the government will be run by an interim prime minister until a permanent replacement is found. We get rid of Calvin Coolidge in favor of Charles Even Hughes to become the leader of the Conservative Party. So there you go. Russian satellite success. The Russian Empire has achieved a significant success in the orbit race, launching a communication satellite in space. A stalemate from the British Empire has not been forthcoming, whereas the Russian press has wasted no time celebrating the achievement. This merely constitutes a single step in the race to place a human being in space, is nonetheless a major achievement for the Russian Empire. Interesting. Philadelphia calls for fresh elections. Prime Minister Hughes, after the resignation of Calvin Coolidge, has called for early elections to strengthen the support of the Federal Unionist Party. The move comes after the Conservative government has faced severe criticism for their handling of the bonus brigade crisis. The crisis, which saw thousands of World War I veterans camping out in Philadelphia to demand their promised bonus, led to a violent confrontation between the protesters and the Royal American Army. The interim Prime Minister has promised to address the concerns of the public and improve the government response to the crisis. He has urged citizens to come out and vote for a stable government that can steer the country through these difficult times. Hughes has also promised to prioritize social welfare programs and support for veterans in the upcoming elections. The opposition parties have welcomed the move for early elections, calling it an opportunity for the people to hold the government accountable for its actions. The campaigning for the elections have already started, with parties unveiling their manifestos and holding rallies across the country. The elections are expected to be fiercely contested, with the opposition parties seeking to capitalize on the government's shortcomings and the public dissatisfaction. The progressive finally get a win, which gives us the liberals and the radical egalitarianisms. Or the alternate comes so social credit reactionaries. Who are the reactionaries? William Ebert. Liberals and radicals. Support victory. Let me see. So we got liberals up here, which is the Progressive Party. Stop fencing. The Alternative for a Social America. Fight discrepancies. Promoted A plus B theorem. I guess this would have happened if we continue with the conservatives. I'm not really sure what's going on because we went the non like violent way and then it says we were very violent with them. I'm not sure. Maybe I misclicked something. This has won the Imperial Civil War. So we can't do this one. That's the workers. So let's see. Allow moral augmentation. Steal, limit the absolutionist. National alcohol ban. Anti-Catholic. Reactionaries. I don't know who to choose. So we do the Progressive Party, which is up here, which is the Liberals Party. First, the Southern Issue. Second, Southern Dixie's crushed. I guess it's time for the alternatives in office. Okay, so it comes up to just this one. Scored victory in America, or SOCRED. The surprise turn events, the Social Credit Party has won a landslide victory in the recent elections held in the United Commonwealth. The party, which was previously considered a minor player in the political arena, managed to secure a majority in both the House of Parliament and the provisional parliaments. Leading the Social Credit Party, William Abbott had pledged to focus on policies that address the growing income inequality in the country, as well as provide greater support for small businesses and farmers. A new national future awaits. Spinosaurus debuts in Algeria, originally uncovered in the rich fossil bed region of western Egypt. This Spinosaurus aegypticus specimen was initially transported to New Alexandria before finding its new home in the Algiers National History Museum. Extensively advertised, the skeleton now displays as the largest terrestrial predator ever discovered and one of the largest megaseared specimens found. Museum staff plan to take the specimen along with other megaseared specimens to tour the European continent in the next few years. Life finds a way. To begin the social credit. Oh, we gotta finish out this one. Okay. So we got this guy right here. Reactionaries. Really wish the conservatives could have stayed in power. I don't know if I had to have done something wrong there. I thought I was doing pretty good, but I guess not. Nicaragua Bridge and the Nicaraguan Canal project was one of the most ambitious projects in recent memory. It's finally been completed, spanning across a small Central American nation. The canal has created a much more effective path, or efficient path, for trade between the Atlantic and Pacific. Project initially proposed by German architect Hermann Sergel began in 1925 as a way to bolster Britain's stagnant economy. The British Empire now controls both major canals connecting the Atlantic and Pacific, further consolidating their global economic hegemony. British hegemony strengthens. There's the Nicaraguan Canal. We're finished with that, so let's begin the social credit experiment. World's Fair in Buenos Aires. Gather around, people of the world. The wonders of the world are known here in Buenos Aires. All the science and brains are coming together here in peace to share their knowledge with the world, from America to the outer islands of New Zealand and from the gates of Beijing to London. Although Britain has been doing rather well technologically wise these last few decades, this year, however, Britain's position is being challenged. Everywhere around the globe, new tech and ideas have evolved. The Brits have welcomed this competition with open arms, as they feel it is important the world develops together. The past, the world fairs have been full of evolution, eurekas, and oddities. How fascinating. Let me jump into here. We can help rebuild Ireland. So let's see. Quebec is British aligned. Victoria is British aligned. Ireland is. Hong Kong's American. East Africa and Acadia. So let's do. To help rebuilding Ireland. Cadets win Russian elections. In the first elections ever held in the Russian Empire, the cadets have won a majority in the Duma and are expected to form a government in the coming days. Established in the midst of the Alexandrian reforms, the Constitutional Democratic Party represents a big tent of conservative factions kept in line by the leadership of the newly minted Prime Minister Alexander Gushkov. With a new electoral mandate, the cadet government is expected to continue on a path of modern liberalization. Blame the Poles. Interesting. They have a really cool focus tree. So they've done ending it with this one. I think so. Okay. Moderate approach. The fourth victim was identified by the Milham Lower Sector coroner as Martin Donaldson, a sharpshooter with the 85th Shock Troops Corps that served in the Iberian Campaign. After doing further research, we've uncovered that at least 2 of the other veterans were also part of the 85th. This shows a clear line to the potential identity of the killer, though police are still searching through Melbourne for further suspects. It is notable, however, that the 85th was directly involved in the siege of Valladolid and suffered significant casualties. Curious, the Army records on their involvement have all been heavily expunged or outright classified. Get results or get lost nests. More manpower. The Republic of the Philippines has forced the German Pacific Commonwealth to withdraw from the Philippines, ending the decades-long war for independence. When people reach that height, God will provide a weapon, the idols will be shattered, and tyranny will crumble like a house of cards. Interesting. Let's make sure these guys don't collapse. The Anglo-American settlers rise up in Texas. The Republic of Tejas declares war on the Texan Settlers Coalition. The United Commonwealth is currently facing a dilemma as the news has arrived of American settlers in the Republic of Tejas rising up against the local government and fighting for independence. The United Commonwealth must now decide whether to provide for support to the settlers or remain neutral. The situation is complicated as the United Commonwealth has a delicate relation with the Republic of Tejas, with which it shares a border. On one hand, supporting the settlers could lead to a significant increase in tension between the United Commonwealth and the Republic of Tejas, potentially leading to armed conflict. On the other hand, remaining neutral could result in loss of potential allies and trade partners if the settlers successfully achieve independence. The government of the United Commonwealth is currently discussing and weighing the options to determine the best course of action to take in the matter. We will offer them our support. There's Razor Maidens. Gunslinger. Infantry. Meal supplements. Republic of Vietnam has forced the Far East administration to withdraw from Vietnam. Finally securing independence from Europe, the long peace begins to crumble. Peace with honor. Britain's acquisition of Vietnam in the Great War was both a boon and massive deterrent. For nearly 30 years, rebels have agitated across the region for independence, and for 30 years, Britain fought an endless guerrilla war with them. Now, British forces have been routed from the south of the country. Defeat after defeat and the inability to win public support have forced the Far East administration to withdraw from Vietnam completely. Britain's failure here is to stand on the imperial mythos, and the future of Indochina is now terribly uncertain. They've lost to nothing but a few rice farmers. Tell us how you really feel. Dear Mr. Ness, the letter stank, spilling droplets of blood on his desk. Ness looked around the office of the authors. Their expressions ranged from morbid curiosity to choking down vomit. He arrived at the office with a private cure, paying in pounds and unable to say exactly who the original writer was. Untraceable, of course, because why would they make things easy on the investigation? He slid the letter open to the top and peeled it apart, unleashing the sickly sweet smell of rot into the room. Officers backed away, a few running for the garbage bins to vomit. Ness held his breath and reached a gloved hand into the envelope before dumping the contents on his desk. A rotting human eyeball tumbled out, still dripping with congealed, clotted blood. Ness could only guess what victim it had come from. The heads of the last two still hadn't been found. The letter within was smeared and solidly written. With some effort, he could make out the words. Dear Mr. Ness, I'm sorry for what I did to those men, but you must understand the importance of my work. We need retribution for what we did, and once my work is complete, you will receive my confession in full. An eye for an eye will make the world right. Dear God in heaven, what is this? Manpower -1. Getting in the social credit. Let's do the puppet schism. Spain joins the Pacte. Spain has announced intention to join the French-led Pacte Revanchist. The Great War has heavily weighed on the Spanish conscience. Thousands of Spanish men spilt their blood in reclaiming the lost empire, and it is therefore comes as no surprise that the Spanish nation has come again tied itself to the protection of the French. Apparently, either side are already concluding their active diplomatic talks and are simply waiting for an official declaration of partnership by French and Spanish ambassadors. Both Germany and Britain have made no announcement on the matter. Europe best be worried. As we remember, they have become neo-imperialists. And they are despotism. Holy Order of Spain. Alright. Tripods researched. Ireland is still British aligned. We can't do anything with that just yet. So let's see. Do quadrupods. You're good for right now. Can't evolve the military because we don't have the army experience. Just the puppet schism done. Oh, that just gives us 3 civilian factories right off the bat. We're going to do that just to do it. And then we can promote national unity, which we'll also do. Code anti-tank done. Augments, we'll do the hard suits. Can't do that yet. Organizing the Social America. Engineer. Alright. The Kingdom of Italy has defeated the Italian Social Revolutionary Front War. D'Annunzio's government falls. The December push in Italy marked the beginning of insurrection in the north, an idea inconceivable since Italian unification. Gabriel D'Annunzio's Social Republic collapsed today in the wake of royalist offensives, as the French-backed militia army proved no match for Italy's professional forces. Shattered and scattered, the revolutionaries have largely fled abroad to France, where D'Annunzio himself has declared a republic in exile. The end of the December push war marks a boon for the Anglo-German diplomatic interests in Italy. D'Annunzio's a border revolution finally dies. Okay, engineering of social America is done. We can do fighting discrepancies. Italy sides with the UK. Ferdinand III has proclaimed the entire Italian entry into the British spearheaded military alliance. The imperial powers. Ferdinand has cited French aggression against the Italian peoples prior and during the Civil War as the primary reason for Italy joining the British faction. The French ambassador left Italy today, stating that the true Italian government was under German-British occupation and that the time would soon come for Italy's liberation from these foreign forces. The British Minister of Defense called out the hypocrisy of such a statement and pointed towards the fact that France was the main party to instigate the Italian Civil War. The Italian peninsula sleeps under watchful eyes. So you've got Ferdinand III as a conservative party who has just joined the imperial powers. I want to try to find somebody to help with this. So Quebec can get Carnegie, Commonwealth of Victoria, British aligned. The Pearl River. Let's do Quebec. Fifth victim identified. A fifth victim was found this morning in Melbourne, this time dumped in the park just outside of the Lower Melbourne Police Department. The message is clear and obviously intended for Police Commissioner Ness. The body was once again lacerated multiple times, with the head removed with some kind of blunt object and the body drained of blood. Notably, the identification tattoos had several cuts across them in the shape of arrows, clearly meant to draw attention to the individual's identity. The man in question is Herbert Creeley, an ex-officer within the 85th Shock Infantry Corps that served in Iberia. Just like the other identified victims, Creeley was notably dishonorably discharged for inappropriate conduct during the siege of Valladolid. However, like the other victims, his records were expunged by Majestic 11. The killer is either mocking us or he's trying to send us a message. -1 political power. Or no, I'm sorry, -1 manpower. Research is done. Do construction. Dispersed industry. Oh, the Texan Settler Coalition is defeated. Henry Hutchins against Adolfo de la Huerta. Alright. This is the Torso Killer speaking. The National News Hour program hosted by Edward Bowles. The call lines were operated for viewers to submit questions to that week's interviewee. In this instance, neurology pioneer Walter Friedman attended the show to promote his new cutting-edge lobotomy procedures. Within 10 minutes, the individual called into the show and announced himself as the Melbourne Torso Killer and proceeded to describe to the bewildered Bowles his manifesto. According to the killer, the attacks are retribution for his unit's actions during the Great War. He claims that during the Battle of Valladolid, his unit conducted the mass killing of numerous surrendered Spanish troops and civilians. Before he could provide further information, however, Majestic 11 agents stormed the building in force and shut down the program. Crucially, however, the caller remained on the line for just long enough for the police to get a rough idea of his location. He called from deep within the Lower Melbourne industrial sector, and Commissioner Ness has gone along with the team to attempt to apprehend the killer before he can escape. Lose 1 manpower. Nothing but ghosts. As Ness and his officer arrived at the location of the phone call, they found nothing but an abandoned factory complex. The phone that was used to make the call was located, but the line was forcibly severed before they arrived. There were signs of habitation, including open cans of food and large piles of notes and military paraphernalia. The factory, which had previously been used for packaging and shipment of canned goods, had been shut down a few months prior during the automation crisis. A few clues could be found, but for the time being, it seems the killer has escaped our grasp. Perhaps this time forever. The trail goes cold, perhaps forever. And then the world happening. German consulate expelled. The German consulate in Russia was expelled today following the discovery of documents tying German intelligence to Polish resistance groups. With the evidence bureau while the evidence Bureau has refuted these claims. The Russian government published the independent documents showing that Germany has provided economic assistance to the rebels. Relations between the two countries have soured entirely, particularly after Russian diplomats have came to the blows with the evacuating German consulate staff. Frankfurt has since officially suggested the German nationals leave Russia for the foreseeable future. Diplomacy is a lost art, it seems. All right. Anarchy in Oran, Algeria. The Maghreb Mandate, established after the Great War to resolve North African border disputes, has collapsed. Facing internal conflict from Algerian nationalists and French pioneers, the Mandate security forces failed to maintain control and were soundly defeated. As the region collapsed into anarchy for now, the Algerians have gained some sliver of independence, however long it may last. Forces from the British African Authority have already begun amassing near the borders of the fledgling states. Freedom for now. Tupelo, Gainesville tornado outbreak. A devastating tornado outbreak shook the South, with some storms hitting the large towns of Tupelo, Gainesville, Oxford, and several others. It is currently estimated over 500 people had died, with the most affected area being Tupelo. The city has suffered immense damage, and entire families have vanished, just like Presley's with their 1-year-old child Elvis. Even in the moment, many more tragedies are discovered. This is the deadliest tornado outbreak in the history of the United Commonwealth since the ones of 1925, which hit Sterling and killed 695 people. The Prime Minister expected to travel to the affected regions to see the damage firsthand and meet the locals. Douglas receives 2 levels of damage on infrastructure. Cumberland received 1, and we lose 1 stability. No longer getting the organizing the social engineering committees. The BAA declared war on the state of Algeria. And the La Front Algier Francais, which is right here. And then Algeria under Messeli Hajj is at war with these guys. Fighting the discrepancies. Promote the A and B. Melbourne as a modern or model city. As a clean city. Southern's no best. Incentivize. We'll do this one. Promote A and B theorem. Tejas defeated the Texans. The Rif War, the conflict between Morocco and Spain, has escalated. After the collapse of the Mandate, the Spanish occupied the Ceuta region, intended to restore order and safeguard the Europeans there. Morocco has claimed the state as part of their country since decades and was outraged by the Spanish move, calling it a new attempt of Spanish colonialism. Both sides are not able to find a settlement diplomatically and have begun mobilizing. Who will own the Rif? Where do Spanish ambition ends? Africa in flames. Well, the British African Authority is not doing very good. Holy Order of Spain's pushing out. French National Work States declared war on the Free State of Brittany. France marches to Brittany. One of the major promises made by the French government was the reclamation of the nation of Brittany. As a result of this, many within the coastal nation have been dreading the day France invades. This day is done, with the French government officially declaring war on Brittany. Despite preparations for such an event made by the Britain military, small nation stands little chance against the might of the French army. Instead, the Britain government has called for international aid and for decisive action against France for this act of aggression. But until such a response comes, Brittany will have to hold out for as long as possible. Hold the line. New Pope, Pope Pius XI, with the recent death of Pope Benedict XVI and emptying the Holy See in the Vatican, the Papal Conclave of 1934 has come together and agreed upon a new Pope. Despite the differences among the cardinals on the details of doctrine and what kind of personality the next Pope should be, a decision was made to appoint Eugene Tisserant, a relatively new cardinal. Picking the papal name of Pius XI will be the first French Pope since Gregory XI in 1370. Pius XI is an extraordinary pope in his politics, as well a French patriot. Pius has constantly opposed the Duret regime and has helped anti-government intellectuals before becoming pope. A new face in Rome. All right. Well, with that, I think I'm going to end the episode here. A lot has happened. We have a new government formed under the social credit reactionaries. Um, so we shall see what we get out of this government later on. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.